Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on your time zone, and welcome to Moral Compass 101. It is my hope and prayer that you have had a good week and that the Lord has continued to be on your side. Mine has been okay, and in the words of the psalmist, the Lord has been faithful with all his promises over my life, and he has continued to be a loving God. That's Psalms 145 and verses 13. And having said that, I'll do a quick recap on our last topic, where I addressed fear in totality and said that fear is an impediment of becoming that has continued to hold a vast majority of people in mediocrity. And having done the recap, I'll please invite you to subscribe to Moral Compass 101 so that we can continue garnering knowledge. And please like and share so that we can spread that knowledge, and comment so that we can interact collectively. As a mere wisdomist, it's totally injudicious to teach about fear or to have taught about fear and not to teach about the panacea of fear, that is faith. In other words, it's incumbent upon me to counter the topic of fear with a topic of faith. So that statement will bring us to our today's topic, that is faith account. Faith account. In monetary context, an account is something you open in a bank and occasionally deposit money that will not only earn you interest, but money you will need during a rainy day, for a rainy day. In the same way, you are supposed to have a faith account in the bank of your Maker, that's the Almighty God, and ensure that you deposit faith, because as sure as day and night are certain, so is your need for faith in your daily endeavors. That you must have a faith deposit, because you'll surely need it on your quotidian endeavors. My definition of faith is a defined digital currency, DDC, that's spiritual in nature but can be converted to a substance through an action. Faith is a defined digital currency that's spiritual in nature but can be converted to become a substance through an action. In his epistle, James, the brother of Jesus, had this word to say: "What good is it, my brothers and sisters, if someone claims to have faith but has no deeds?" That's according to James. And he goes ahead to ask, can such faith save them? That's according to James chapter number 2 and verses 14. Many scholars have through time paraphrased his words with the words, faith without actions is dead, or faith without deeds is dead. Notwithstanding my definition of faith, an extremely profound definition of faith is found in the epistle of Apostle Paul to the Hebrews in the 11th chapter and verses number 1. And what is that definition, or how does Apostle Paul define faith? This is his definition. Faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that are not seen. Faith is a substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things that are not seen. That's according to Apostle Paul. And to my best of understanding, no definition of faith can ever challenge this definition whatsoever. The use of the word substance in Paul's definition of faith took me back to my yesterdays of high school, where my chemistry teacher defined defined substance as a physical matter that can be seen, touched, and or measured. That the definition of substance is a physical matter that can be seen, touched, all and measured. So, if Paul is talking about faith being a substance, and for sure we know faith cannot be touched, it cannot be measured, and it cannot be seen, there has to be a transformation of faith from its state of being unseen, untouchable, and unmeasurable to a physical state of being seen, touched, and measured. Just like digital currency, faith is not physically visible or tangible. It solely exists in spiritual nature, hence the words define digital currency in my definition of faith. However, the conversion or the metamorphosis of faith to become a substance that's visible, tangible, or measurable can only happen through your actions, where the outcome becomes the physical evidence of your faith. I will repeat that statement. The conversion or the metamorphosis of faith to become a substance that's visible, tangible, or measurable can only happen through your actions, where the outcome becomes the physical evidence of your faith. Lest your faith is just but a passive kind of faith that cannot hold any waters, just like James have asked us that if you claim you have faith but no deeds, what good can that faith do? Faith acts both as a defense or a shield and an offense or a sword. That's an analogy of a shield and a sword in matters faith. And hope is the quintessence of applying faith to either of these two scenarios. In other words, faith gives hope in the state of defense, or in its state of defense, because we have just seen that faith has two states. It operates in two facets, as a defense or an offense. So faith gives hope in its state of defense, and likewise in its state of offense. Faith, let's first deal with faith as a defensive mechanism. Faith as a defensive mechanism. When faith is in a defensive state, it protects you against fear, doubt, and despair. In this defensive state, faith offers three things. The first thing it offers in its defective mechanism or defensive state is protection. The first thing is protection. As a shield, faith guards you. Faith guards your mind, your heart, and your emotions against fiery darts. These are doubts, fear, and anxiety. It will guide you against those things that will bring mediocrity into your life that will be responsible for you not becoming, for your not becoming. In his epistle to the church in Ephesus, Apostle Paul describes faith as a shield that extinguishes all the flaming arrows of the evil one. That's according to Ephesians 6 and verses 16. The second thing that faith does, or that faith offers in its defensive state, is perseverance. Perseverance. During the inevitable storms of life, faith offers the resilience needed to hold your ground while still acting as an anchor of hope, assuring you that your current struggles are not the end of your life, hence the need to press on. Resilience through perseverance is an act of faith, where a ray of hope ensures that your current state of struggle is not supposed to bring you down. Hence, the need to press on. And the third thing that faith does, it brings stability. Faith offers a fortified and a stable foundation upon which resilience, perseverance, and victory emanates. Faith itself is a foundation that brings stability. And out of that stability, you have resilience and perseverance, and victory awaits. In other words, faith is a source of resilience and perseverance that leads to victory. So, the second facet of faith is faith as an offense. Faith as an offense. When faith is in its offensive state, which is its state of action, the offensive state of faith is a state of action. It instigates three ripple effects. The first effect is active engagement. The active engagement, into bracket, actionable faith. Actionable faith. Rather than being passive or acquiescence to life challenges, faith enables daring actions, like pursuing challenging situations that otherwise seems impossible to a faithless individual. That, this is not about passive faith, it's about actionable faith that will make you press on, pursue challenging situations that someone without faith cannot dare do. And that's why we said that the connotation of faith, or the aspect of faith, is even if vis-a-vis the aspect of fear, that is, what if. So, actionable faith births courage, or it brings forth courage, confidence that propels resilience and perseverance, rather than being a passive belief. So, your faith should not be just but a passive belief. It should bring forth courage, confidence, and propel resilience and perseverance for you to overcome life challenges. And the third aspect of faith as an offense is advancement, to advance or to continue becoming, following or through the protection and the perseverance that's offered by faith in its state of defense. You are subject to advance in your daily pursuit of purpose. In an American football game, we see the defense and the offense, and when, they are running the ball, the defense is protecting the other, the opponents from attacking, the person who is running the ball, So that's what faith does. in its state of being protective, you know, protecting you, it will you'll be you'll have the resilience to run the race, you know, and to do your touchdown, in the aspect of, becoming. In other words, faith in its defensive state is the requisite upon which advancement is realized. Without faith, you cannot advance, you cannot become, you cannot pursue the trajectory of becoming. And the third and the final thing that faith does in its uh, defensive in its defensive state is overcoming. Because of its comprehensive, multidimensional aspect of life, faith does not only make you survive the storms of life, it also makes you thrive in life. It does not leave you, that you are, yes, you have survived, you know. No, it will also ensure that you overcome, triumph against the odds, the ills and the odds of life, to a point of not only surviving but also thriving in life. In closing, through the two facets of faith, that is, the defensive faith that brings hope that you will survive the storms of life, and the offensive faith that brings hope that you will overcome. See, you shall not only survive, but you shall also overcome or thrive. Faith is not passive. Whether it's protecting you from its defensive, whether it's protecting you in its defensive state, or powering your actions in its offensive state, faith is an obligatory beacon of hope for all humanity. I'll repeat that statement. Whether faith is protecting you in its defensive state or powering your actions in its offensive state, faith is an obligatory beacon of hope for all humanity. Until next time, please stay safe and prepare yourself to open a faith account, because that's what we shall deal with in our next topic. Blessings and shalom.